Great, Imam, you live.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In alhamdulillah. Wa salatu wa salamu ala ashraful anbiya wa mursaleen. Sayyidina wa habibina al-Mustafa Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa salam. Wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsani ila yawmiddin. Wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyul azim. We'd like to welcome you all to tonight's broadcast of the Black Imams Roundtable, the BIRT crew, the three amigos. I'm Imam Faheem. I'm bringing them out tonight, inshallah. Firstly, we'd like to welcome you all. And as a reminder, please be sure to like and share this broadcast, inshallah, with as many platforms as you can. And also, don't forget that cover fee. We request a minimum of $10 for people who are posting, who are attending. This helps us to, cover some costs that we have. And also, you all know we have in February coming up, we have the African American Summit. And, that's going to be a grand event, inshallah, that we want to cover. And so, some of these donations that you give will also help us with that, inshallah ta'ala. So please be sure to donate. All of you who ride with us every week, you're special people, you're 10 to 1 favorites. So it ain't nothing for you to give the donation of 10 people, So it ain't nothing for one of y'all to give $100, to cover 9 other people plus yourself. Cause y'all just, y'all special like that, and this is why we love you. That's why we appreciate you. And that's why we rock with you. You know what I mean? And this is why we try to, make this a continuous effort, inshallah ta'ala. And again, for all those joining in. Okay, Miss Joanne is here. Assalamu alaikum. Hey, Miss Joanne, how you doing? Alhamdulillah. All right, so tonight we are just kind of want to hear from our listeners and our viewers, to hear some things that you have. So you are able to click on the link, and you have a 3-minute time limit to discuss any issues you want to discuss. Any questions you want to ask, anything, this is a freestyle session, it's no holds barred. This is the Black Imams Roundtable. We get down, we get dirty, we get grizzly, we get grimy, and we get it done, inshallah ta'ala. So tonight is your night, say what you got to say, good, bad, or indifferent, if you got a gripe, if you got a beef, if you got a comment, if you got a suggestion, if you got some words of praise, if you got criticism, we take it all in, inshallah. So, that's how the format is, right, Imam? I mean, just click on the link if someone wants to say something.
Yeah, so we, as the Imam Faheem mentioned, we want to hear from you. We've been going for over a year now, I believe, and we're always talking, and you only have the opportunity to really type, but some people are not, typers. They need to articulate themselves. They need to speak. So, and we would like to get to know you. Some of you we saw, some of we haven't saw. So this is a new aspect that we're trying. So inshallah ta'ala, it will work out. It's all about really of us connecting,
We should do this like YouTube, man. How they had them super chats. In order for your stuff to go along, to put your comment and stuff, you got to send a donation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're going to turn up. You got to pay to talk to us, man. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm just joking. But yeah, but in the meantime, we wait. Again, this is something like, oftentimes in our formats, we weren't able to cover some questions. We may have missed some. There's some issues, sidebar issues that take place that we may have missed. So anything that you feel like you want to bring up, the time is now. Please don't be shy. This is the time to express yourself. But in the meantime, while we're waiting for someone, I would just like to discuss briefly. Last week we partnered with the Dope Muslim Woman podcast, and we were discussing. The topic was about can we trust each other and love and stuff like that. And it was a very fruitful discussion. And we thank Sister Sabria Mills for having us on, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward her immensely. And some of the discussions, it got really deep. And as you know, we try to monitor the comments as much as possible and to see what's going on. And I remember one of the comments saying that they asked if we had any training, any formal training about relationships, trauma, and stuff like that. And and I think from what I recall, like someone mentioned, like we don't really understand how it is to understand someone's trauma. But I just want to discuss that, as imams, a lot of stuff, we have to wear many hats. And we've garnered a lot of experience in it, in relationships. So we didn't want to think that we're insensitive to anyone's trauma, but some of the things that we were mentioning is that, whenever you have these things revolving around love and relationships and marriage, it's a two-party thing, both are involved. And in my experience, I noticed that oftentimes, that it's always both parties that's involved. Sometimes we tend to either, try to project blame on one or the other, try to avoid, being accused of things. But in the end, it's really both partners that play a significant part in what happened, And so we never wanted to undermine anyone's trauma, anything like that. But we have to always take an objective look at the situations, and I could tell you in my experience, I used to be the one, and I think I mentioned this, if a sister jumped up and said something and she started crying and she started pleading her case, I was the type like, where the brother at? We're gonna get him, and then until in many of those cases, I talked to the brother, and it was a whole nother story. And ever since that happened, I was always careful and reserved in how I will approach a situation. So now I try to make it my business to make sure I hear both sides, because I often get requests from sisters, or and they'll just start telling me the whole thing about the brother, and they already throw him under the bus before I even know who he is. Oh, I get a whole paragraph. Well, who's the brother? And then, well, can I talk to him? Oh, no. So, and then after that, when the brother finds out that his wife already, and gave the whole, she basically took the stand against him. Now, he don't want to talk, so she just shut down the whole avenue for communication, and there was a few other things, but I just wanted to make that clear on my part. We never undermine anyone's trauma, and sisters, we always give an ear, and like we've mentioned on numerous times on this podcast, you can reach out to us. You can contact all of us. You can contact directly. I know on that podcast, when they asked at the end, what's our contact information? I was being funny and I said, you can catch me around the way. But but you can catch me on here mostly. Most people have my number, and so I'm not hard to find. So, but I just wanted to discuss that real quick. So now this is the time. So come out. I mean, y'all be real bold in the sidebar discussion. It's sometimes distracting us. So come on out with it. Come with it right now. No holds barred. We ain't no sensitive imams. Don't let the light skin fool you. I can take a hit on the chin. You know what I mean? I can take a hit on the chin. So if you got to swing at the chin, let's do it. Any suggestions that you have, about the format of the podcast, if you got a good joke, if you got something, I mean, let's have it, inshallah. This is how we do it,
Imam Faheem, I'm just sitting here relating to what you said, and it reminded me of when I kind of like really first got active in the field of dawah. I had not too long before that came home. I probably was home for maybe about a year and some change. And I started volunteering in Rikers Island. And Rikers Island has many jails on it. And at one point, I started volunteering in the woman's house on Rikers Island. And I remember when I was about to go in there for the first time, Imam Siraj called me in his office, and he reminded me to be on my P's and Q's, you know. And one of the things that stuck in my mind from that time, this is in the mid 1990s sometime. One of the things that he said was, he said, tears are not dalil. Tears are not dalil. No, tears or crying is not a proof. And if you don't know that, and you go into a situation, some people know how to cut it on and cut it off real quick. And you'll be moved by emotion. Like you said, where he at? Let's go see him, right? Yeah. And subhanAllah, as an imam myself, I learned that, a lot of times when you're intervening, one of the things I learned that with too many of us, if you're not on their side, if you don't agree with them 100%, you're against them and you're unjust. They could be 100% wrong. You can try to logically explain why they were wrong. I ain't trying to hear it. You against me. And a lot of times for imams, it's, a lot of times sisters accuse imams of siding with the brothers because of that. And other times, brothers accuse imams when in a particular situation, the imam agrees with the sister. Oh, he's just caping for the sisters. He just, he ain't down. I don't know what he trying to do. Sisters must be giving sadaqah or something.
He's soft.
Yeah, he's soft. You can't win. That's why you shouldn't even try to win. Just be just. They don't like it, so what?
He's simping.
Yeah, he's simping. That's the word I'm looking for. He's simping for the sister.
Imam Simp.
Imam Abu Simp. Ibn Cape.
He really trying to get that sister. That's why he's siding with her. Yeah. He's setting it up for himself.
Yeah, he's lining the sister up.
Brother Imam, you're so sensitive and understanding. I can marry a brother like you. Okay, you got your first speaker.
All right, who we got?
Brother Hakeem, you got to back up, bro. You're too close to the microphone. Go ahead. You got 3 minutes to state your comment or your issue. Unmute yourself. Bring your camera down so we can see you. All right, go ahead. We can see you. Yeah, go ahead, Sayyidi. You got to take your microphone off mute. You got to unmute your microphone.
This is part of your time.
Bro, you're wasting your time.
You got one round. You got a 1 round bout.
You press the camera, turn your camera on, and then take the mute off. Now, you can't hear? I don't know what to tell you. Log on and log back off. It ain't working. Try it again. Log in, log out again. Okay. Come back.
Okay, while we wait for him, who else we got? Also, give us some advice. I think we should start calling people out, man.
You got anybody in mind you want to call out?
Yep.
Yeah, where's Farouk?
Isa Abdullah.
Farouk is usually supposed to be the specialist on all these issues. And I noticed He's been consistently duck and wreck after I worked him over that last time. He's been nowhere near a microphone where I'm at.
So, he might not have his suit on right now.
Oh, he got to have a suit?
Yeah, he got to come redressed.
His mom's is in the building, though. She representing. Where he at?
Miss Joanne, you want to come give us some sincere advice? We would love to hear from you. It would be nice from our elders to get your expression. But what I wanted to discuss, because that was a big issue that you mentioned, Imam Faheem, that people were concerned of our qualifications. And in a way, I'm on this issue of the experience we have in our community every day as imams. Sometimes by experience, you earn your qualifications without a paper, right? As you see things over and over and over again, you start to know what works and what does not work by observation and by experience, right? And I think I'm not one who's so impressed with the Western world, Europeans' so-called qualifications, because they haven't served our community so well. I'm not really impressed with that. That's me personally. So I think it's important that when we speak, we also speak in context, you know? You mean qualified, do they have a paper? Or you mean qualified, have they dealt with these situations and saw good outcomes and bad outcomes, and after time, they understand certain things. Not everything, but certain things. I think an experienced imam sees things. He might not be, quote unquote, trained by the Western society. But, you know, as my dad used to say, I graduated from SWU, right? And I remember as a kid, I'm like, you ain't go to college. He's like Sidewalk University, which taught you a lot. You know what I mean? So that's the point. But I'll give it to, and I think a lot of imams graduated from SWU, Sidewalk University. And we learned some stuff by doing that. That's just my thoughts. But Abdul Hakim, come on in, brother. What was your question? Take your mic off. Hey, bro, we're on borrowed time. You got to get it out. Can you hear?
Come on, man. Seconds out. Okay, because this could quickly turn into the
all right, Habibi, when you get your stuff together, let me know. But it ain't working right now, and we got to move on. I love you. Barakallahu bikum.
This could quickly turn into Showtime at the Apollo, where we told people on stage.
Nathar, go ahead. Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam rahmatullah. I just wanted to give you a shout out, Imam. We have a mutual acquaintance, brother Muhammad Rashid Aliyu in Philly, Philadelphia.
Barakallahu.
Yeah. So a while ago, he told me that he had bumped into you in Philly, and you remembered him from back in the Ansar days.
Yes.
So I'm also from back then. So I've been following you. Well, he turned me on to you, and I've been following what y'all have been doing. And I agree with a lot of what y'all are doing. I'm on the same page with y'all. I want to get involved. I heard you say a few times, if anyone had anything they could contribute to participate, to help, move things along, put your input in. So I wanted to mention to the three of y'all, since I have all three of y'all here, I put together some primers. They're very simple, deceptively simple. The reason I did it is because I know that there are a lot of people from our community, the Black Muslim community, who really don't know the basics the way they should. And I will even say that I don't know them the way I should myself. But over the past years, I've been studying, I've been getting the proper books, learning the definition of a mukallaf, trying to apply my learning based on that. And I put some primers together to serve as a bridge so that people can move from, how do I say this? The way we typically learn Islam without learning it through a method and going through the basic books and working your way up so I put together these primers to be a bridge to go from that point to actually being introduced to the books that you would learn from in a method, which I see you're already doing, Imam. You're already doing that in the mornings and so forth. So if anyone is interested, I could shoot you the primers through email. You can review them, the three of y'all, and if you decide to use them, use them. If not, don't use them. Flip it how you want to use them, how it will benefit what y'all are trying to do. And I also like to say that, I'll continue to support y'all and be involved because we're all on the same page as far as our community goes.
Right.
Now, I just have one other question to you.
All right, Speedy, you see that info, MMACINC.org?
No. Yeah.
Yeah. So send it there and then leave your information too so I can contact you. And
Okay. So one quick question.
It's better that you walk us through it so that we can see what your vision was and see how we can cooperate together.
Okay. So one last question for you. By any chance, do you remember me also from back there, Ansar Allah community?
What's your name?
Well, it was Abdul Kareem, and then I had it legally changed to Nathar Daniel, which I found out later. Nathar was the name from one of the name books. I found out the name is actually Nathir, but I found that out after the fact, after I had it legally changed to Nathar.
Were you in New York or Philly?
In New York. This was between 77 and 82.
Oh, so I was too young. I was there at around 82, but I was very young. So you probably would have been gone by the time I started to come of age.
Okay,
because,
got you.
Muhammad Aliyu, Abdul Rashid was there when I was a teenager.
So right,
like 14, 15, he was still around.
Okay, he stayed after I had left. So that's how you know him. Okay, all right.
Yeah, because he was working in Passions and he used to collect a bunch of books, and I was a young kid, and me and him took a good liking to me.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, they told us you was the stage manager, man. When Passion came out, you did all the mic checks and stuff. Is that true?
No.
The sound man.
No, they had me working inside. They had what was called a work crew, and then I was peddling. But I know all of them guys from back then, the Passion guys, the whole thing.
I would like to have a discussion one day. And I was telling Muhammad Aliyu this, and I was talking to Abdul Wali before, right? It would be especially brothers who have made the transition, because a lot of our brothers that were from there, they're gone. Like they're not in nothing. Like it destroyed them.
Right.
But, alhamdulillah, there are some brothers who made a transition and are still believing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and are making effort. I would like to have a conversation with those brothers and really talk about experiences in life and because one thing many people don't realize, in the Ansars in those days, you had to be a soldier, which is missing today. You had to be a soldier.
Yeah. It was not to interrupt, but I would say it was just a different era. I heard you speaking the other morning about our youth. And how they're kind of like not interested and so forth. So I would say that it was a different era back then. And that's across the board. People were more, I don't want to say conscious, but their interests were more Afrocentric, so to say.
Right.
I'm a bit older than you. I'm 65. So when I was coming up, it was the Panthers. I came through the 5% Nation of Islam. You had the Nation of Islam, and you had all these other groups, and people were more community oriented, Black oriented, as our situation as a people improved, you know, we started moving into subdivisions and able to send the kids off to schools and so forth and so on. And as each generation moves forward from that time, the youth are they're further away from that, the orientation that, let's say, our parents had, or some of our parents had, or, you know, going back. It seems the more we go forward, the less we're rooted in a lot of cases. So that's also part of the reason I put these primers together, where they would serve as a means where it wouldn't be too out of touch for a new person who's interested in Islam,
Right.
or just curious, or for people who have been Muslim for 20, 30, 40 years, but never learned the deen as a mukallaf. You know,
Right.
they've learned, well, I'm a Muslim, assalamu alaikum, so forth and so on, but they don't know the words mukallaf. They don't know the words fard lane. They don't know fard kifaya, and learning that way. So this is something that really needs to be addressed. And I hope that through these primers, for whoever they reach,
Right.
that they can serve as a bridge to learning the books that you would be introduced to, you know, the primer books of a method, whichever method that may be, and just build from there. Sometimes
we will definitely work with you on it. You know, I know myself and the imams, we're looking to cooperate with one another. For when we're all gone, that something is left behind that works for all of us to the best of our ability. May Allah give us tawfiq, you know.
No.
So we definitely will be in touch with you, inshallah.
Okay. All right.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, brother, for coming on,
Abdullah,
man.
did he get his thing right yet?
Yeah, I posted part of what he said. I think it's something else to it, but I posted in the chat. He said, here locally, we're struggling with a big drama where there's a lot of homosexuality going on, especially with young Muslim girls. I have my daughter in soccer, and I had to pull her out. And this is all an all Muslim soccer team. When I brought this to the head coach, they shoved it off like it wasn't a big deal. As a leader, what do you advise people to do? How should we do it? It is most of these people from countries like Morocco and Somalia, etc. In order to protect my children, how to keep them in the, and he got cut off there. You want to tackle that, Imam?
Oh, that was Abdul Hakim, right?
Yes.
Right. He said he was going to type it since he couldn't get his mic straight.
Oh, he said I had to keep them in the house and educate down because of this drama.
Imam Naeem, what you think?
I don't, Bismillah, I don't have no easy answer. I think a lot of our issues, there's no easy answer because, I have children from newborn all the way to their early 20s. And this is a reoccurring problem that I find myself in. Either, have my children in all non-Islamic environment, or have them in so-called Muslim learning environments where, Muslims there, but is not too much of an Islamic environment, if you can understand the difference. There's Muslims there, like the soccer team, but is it an Islamic environment? So a lot of times we want to move our families from, the non-Muslim environment, but it's almost like we taking them out of the frying pan and putting them into the fire directly. And it can be traumatizing when you have a child that's been brought up by Islamic parents and, they've been kind of sheltered from that type of stuff. And then when you finally let them out, you let them out around a whole, in a so-called Islamic environment. And the Muslims are doing and are involved in everything that the disbelieving children are involved in. So it's bad, and most of the situations in this country are like this. And so I don't recommend this for everybody, because everybody can't do it. But some of us, we have to take our children and send them someplace. Like I took two of my boys, because I got older sons, but a lot, they're struggling. So I say I take the next crop, they're going overseas. Meanwhile, I'm working over here to try to create that environment that that we're talking about, where these type of things aren't prevalent. But as we all know, those of us who are working, to try to create these types of environments, there's not enough people working with us. So we working at a snail's pace. Meanwhile, our children are getting older and they need to be in these environments that we too slow to create. So, I don't have an easy answer. And like I send my children to Gambia, Africa. I didn't want to send them to an Arab country or country in the subcontinent, so they can get, Muslim racism 2.0, right? So I sent them in Africa, even though there's tribalism there, but at least it ain't to the degree that I heard horror stories of children growing up in Arab lands and stuff like that. So, I don't have an easy answer. I'm trying to figure it out myself with my family, and I'm doing the best I can.
I think, one of the things, and I had a long discussion. Don Yusuf Khattab, are you still available? It's your time. Right in with our conversation. Me and Yusuf Khattab was having a beautiful discussion earlier today related to this, right? And I think sometimes it's frustrating for me, right, that we don't realize how important it is establishing our own environments, even if they're small, right? So we were talking about Detroit as a place, for example. Detroit has so much vacant property, like almost whole city blocks. I mean, not the last time I was in Detroit, but the one before that, me and Sheikh Abdul Karim took a drive around the area. I was like, man, you can make this a Muslim land. There's so much vacant property. And that was I'm just speaking about in Detroit. In different places, you can have that, right? And sometimes we might need to consider sacrificing to move or cooperate with those who have made that sacrifice to build those ideal communities within the context of our reality in America. So where people could go learn, yet still be in the environment that they're going to try to serve, right? So, I mean, I think that's an important endeavor that we need to think about. And I can give you an example. One of the best examples that I saw in the States is in Memphis, Tennessee, with Midtown Mosque with Sheikh Hamza Abdul Malik, right? They took a real bad environment and slowly started to develop it. I mean, they got a long way to go, but they started the process, buying property, moving Muslims together, and they did a great job at reforming. But like everyone else, they suffer from the same thing, a lack of support, right? So it's a struggle. And going back, I seen it work. Even when I was growing up in that Ansar community, and you're from New York, you saw it. That stuff was healthy. And forget all of the bad stuff that came. I'm talking about growing up as a youngster in that. It taught me a lot of values that I carry still today, right? That I carry to see Black excellence. That meant a lot, right? To see what we could achieve. I watched it with my own eyes, right? I lived it. To live for, by, and with one another. Despite, like I said, some bad outcomes that came, but there was so much good that with the right doctrine, with the right intentions, with the right heart, you can do the same thing in a positive way. I think we need to explore that. But we got to remove this idea of selfishness, right? It's too much. I got to worry about me, forget everybody else. And more important than that, I think, is looking for the future when we're gone, right? What are we going to leave for the succeeding generations? What example, what model, what legacy? I think we need to explore that. Okay, here's a brother, Yusuf Ali. Looking for the future when we're gone, okay, right? What are we going to leave for the succeeding generations? Brother Yusuf, you are what model, what legacy? You got to work your mics. Explore that.
I have to do what?
Okay, here's a brother, Yusuf Ali.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you got to cut something.
Yeah, we hear echo though.
You got to mute his Facebook.
Mute your Facebook. Brother Yusuf, you are what model, what legacy? You got to work your mics.
Okay, wait a minute.
Explore that.
I have to do what?
Okay, here's a brother, Yusuf Ali.
Are you on Facebook?
Yeah, you got to cut
No.
Are you on YouTube?
Facebook.
I'm not on Facebook.
What about YouTube?
I'm on YouTube.
Close the YouTube or turn the volume down on YouTube.
Are you on Facebook?
Okay, wait.
Are you on YouTube?
Yes, I'm on YouTube. I'm not on Facebook.
On YouTube, the speaker icon, you gotta hit it and put it on mute.
YouTube or turn the volume down on YouTube.
Okay.
Are you on YouTube?
You got about 30 seconds before we bring the cameraman out. On YouTube, the speaker icon, you gotta hit it and put it on mute.
All right, go ahead, brother Yusuf.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum
Wa
salam. We got you.
And we timing you, Sheikh Yusuf.
Okay, don't worry
We
about
know
it.
you can go.
All right. I want to react to the last question that the brother asked or somebody asked last week. In terms of it was something to do with the Fit Council.
Fit Council?
Yes.
Oh, you mean the Black Muslim? We was talking about that.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm concerned about the answer that was given. Because it seems like the emphasis is on transactions. On transaction meaning money, and also that was the same perspective when they were talking about marriage and talking about $5,000 for marriage. And you also mentioned that there were brothers who you had been talking to about establishing a Fit Council, and that there was some reservation. I'm having a difficult time with Muslims who, if you have reached a certain spiritual level, to be not to have the courage, to stand on the deen, or to stand on on what is right and to fight for what is right and to speak against what is wrong. I kind of find that problematic. That's number one. Number two is that in terms of a problem that the Muslims I think have, is that because we are not truly connected to our people, and that our concerns are exclusively about Muslims, that we are kind of not connected. And because we're not connected, it's affecting our ability to do dawah and our ability to bring Muslims into the deen. So the fact that there's a movement out there and there's a movement that has to be political in nature, there has to be a Black political strategy and a Black political agenda. For me personally, I think it's reparations. I think that's the only thing that can actually, equalize the situation with Black people. And because it's the government and the government actually owes us, and from the point of view of the dean, there's this whole thing about restitution and repair, so like in Islam, for example, if you kill somebody, that family has a right to restitution. They have a right to repair, and it's actually a legal situation, not only in the deed, but it's a situation in law itself. So I just want to say that there should be a movement going on that is the political and economic, and that my feeling is that the Muslims should be in front of that, and it's all related to our people. Otherwise, without a significant strategy that relates to the government and the government addressing, the plunder that has been done to us for over 400 years, that is a viable solution. I would like you brothers to just respond to that.
The first one.
What you got on the counter back there, Sheikh Yusuf?
On the counter?
Yeah, you in the kitchen back there. What's back there, man? What you got on the stove?
On the nothing.
You mean nothing that you don't want us to know? Or nothing?
What you doing back there, man?
What do you mean?
What's working back there?
You in the kitchen? You got some food, man.
No, that's a light. That's a light on the overhead thing.
No, we know the light.
You got some spices. You got some spices back there. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
He's looking at your kitchen, getting hungry, Sheikh Yusuf.
You ready to start your own cooking channel?
Oh, hey, yeah.
No, I'm just messing with you, bro.
Before y'all answer, Sheikh Yusuf, he's a longtime member of Masjid Mu'min. He used to be on the Majlis, used to give khutbahs, and he sits on every council and board in the city of Pittsburgh. Everyone. I'm just kidding. Almost everyone. I'm exaggerating. But if there's something going on in the city, some meeting, some council, some neighborhood committee, he's on it. He knows what's going on.
Yeah. So one of the things, I'll just talk about the first aspect because of the Fiqh Council. And I agree with you in one sense, and in another sense, I think it's just a little bit more nuanced than we would like it to be. From one side, I agree. We should enjoin what is right and forbid what is wrong, have the spiritual fortitude to trust and confidence in Allah. And I agree with you 100%. But then on the other side, I do realize the concerns of some of those Black leaders, Imam Muslim leaders, that, I have to take care of my family, right? And I have to provide for my family. And so I think there's a responsibility of those leaders work on their behalf to do their part in supporting the effort. I think both have to be combined, right? And that would make it easier for that person to engage. So I don't think it's not always, the issue of I'm not spiritual enough or I'm not dedicated enough, as opposed to I also have to be responsible. I think you have to navigate both aspects. Yes, I need to sacrifice, but at the same time, I need to be responsible, right? I was mentioned to something that personally happened to me, to give you an experience, right? We had Hurricane Sandy. Y'all remember her? You remember Hurricane Sandy, right? So during Hurricane Sandy, the whole Atlantic City went underwater. Water was up to my chest, right? I lost my house. We lost the masjid, everything. And I had to make a decision. Fix the masjid or your house. That was a decision I had to make. My family will be homeless, or we have to rent someplace, or the masjid goes. I don't have enough money to do both, right? I particularly chose the masjid. That wasn't a popular decision for my family. So I lost my house. But I saved the masjid, right? But that wasn't easy for my family to accept. And I've heard more than once from my family, we count two. It ain't just about the masjid and the Muslims, right? So everybody has to navigate that, right? Now for me, and I remember having this conversation to say, I said, but guess what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, eventually we saved the masjid and Allah gave me my house. Right? Subhanallah, it worked out, but that's a sacrifice. And that's something you can't ask everybody to do, right? You can't. I don't think it's fair that we tell all of our leaders, you just do all the sacrificing and we won't. I don't think that's fair. I mean, from that side, if you understand my point. So yes, it should be some sacrifice from the leaders. And also from our side, we need to do our another hope. And that's what I meant by that. Now, then there are those who, if I ain't getting paid enough money, I ain't doing nothing. Then we're not talking about those. We're talking about those who really want to serve, but we should aid them to serve. So that's my point. And me and you had the conversation when we were talking about that, the money investments. Remember we were talking about that when I was in Pittsburgh?
Yes.
So I think we need to come together to put our money together so these things are facilitated. And then just pick the right leaders, right? You with Imam Naeem, and I know Imam Naeem doesn't have a full-time livable wage from the organization, Masjid Mu'min. If Imam Naeem had a full-time wage, you there with him, you know how hard he works. Yeah. What more could he do if he had a full-time salary?
See, that kind of like misses the...
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Yeah, that kind of like missed it kind of...
We hear you, go ahead.
Okay, it kind of like misses the issue, you know, because part of the problem is that there is a tremendous wealth gap between, you know, that Black people actually have. And Black people on the whole, they don't have no money comparatively. They have some money, you know, which is not being, you know, which is not basically being used, you know, properly, is not being used to, you know, to amount a political, you know, struggle and one that leads to some economic, you know, solutions. But because Black people don't have money, see, that's the issue. See, that's the first issue, is that we don't have money because we've been plundered and we've been put at the bottom of society, you know, so that money is not the solution, because we don't have enough money to do that. What is needed is a political cohesive movement, you know, with an agenda that is basically around repair and around a transformative Black agenda, you know, because we're continually fighting a battle with, you know, somewhat limited sources comparatively, that is compared to the general society, you know, so that, and then on top of that, you guys have the approach of knowledge. So you're using knowledge or education, you know, to uplift the Muslim community in knowledge, you know, but on the other hand, you're saying that, you know, money is solution. And I think that you were correct in the first place. Knowledge is the solution, but the knowledge, and I applaud you for the Islamic knowledge that you guys are elevating, but there also has to be a political and economic, you know, agenda that affects or that is around all of our people, irregardless of religion, you know, and all of these other issues that become divisive, you know, which keeps us from being cohesive and having a cohesive identity that is geared toward repairing our situation.
I agree with you, right? And I don't think it's an either or, right? We need to learn how to work on all fronts simultaneously by using the resources we have together. So like Imam Naeem mentioned, your skill set, we need to combine that the other brother Nadir was on, he has a skill set. We have to learn to work together to empower one another. I think that's very important because just knowledge alone or just money alone is not going to solve the problem, right? Just politics alone is not going to solve. We need to combine all of those things and really realize that we have a mission that we have to do. And it may start small. You know, there's a movie that I would like you, I don't know if you saw it already, but I think you would enjoy it. It's called 300. You ever saw that movie?
I have not.
Man, you need to check it out. It's nice. You'll really like it. You saw 300, Imam Naeem?
Oh, you mean about the soldiers?
Yeah.
The army?
No, there was like one of them, like Roman.
Yes, I've seen it. Yes, I've seen it.
You saw 300,
yes.
Imam Faheem?
This is Sparta.
Yeah. You didn't saw that? So that's Greek, right?
Yes.
Right? So one time they went to a village, right? And, you know, they were fighting against Persia. They was fighting against the Persians, right? And so they was getting all these little groups, and it was only 300 of them, right? And so they went to this, you know, village, and they was picking up soldiers. And they said, you know, what you do? He said, I'm a farmer, I'm a baker, I'm a carpenter, you know. And then they asked those three, he said, what are you? Soldier, right? And it was only 300 of them. Because they were all soldiers, they was able to take down big armies. I think we need to get our own version of 300, even if it's only 10, right? Right? If you have, and that's why I say we got to study our own missions. There's an elder, and one day we're going to bring him on. He's in Saudi Arabia now, but he was in the nation, you know, and is this his story, that they were like some of the top, what was the name of the nation paper back then? Muhammad Speaks. Mm-hmm. They were among the top sellers of papers. They used to go around the country selling like 1,000 papers a day or something like that, right? That was their thing. And I can remember on the Ansars, to give you an example, every day we used to go out and make $100 a day, right? And we would go out, sometimes with partners, right? Be two of us. And one time we sat down, me and my partner, because we were young. We sat down and we was trying to calculate how much money was coming in the Ansar community a day just from peddlers. And we assessed around the country, there was about 300 people at that time out peddling because we traveled and we knew people, right? At the height of the Ansar movement, on a given day around the country, you can have about 300 people on the streets peddling all over the country, right? And if you look at that, every one of them were averaging $100 a day, right? You're talking about $30,000 a day, every single day. No days off, not even Jumu'ah. There's no days off. 30,000 a day. That's despite the stores, the restaurants, and all the other stuff that was going on that we didn't find out till later, like music, record sales, studio. They was, man, if you could count the amount of money that was being made in that organization. So, but there was people who were willing to sacrifice. And I think that's important to say. We don't have money. We don't have a lot of money, but we have a lot of resources that can produce money. And I think we need to learn to use our resources well, right? I think we need to learn to use our resources well. And I think all the things you mentioned, if we do that well, we can accomplish a lot of those things. I mean, that's just my thoughts. Imam Naeem, Imam Faheem.
Me and Sheikh Yusuf had this conversation after Juma. This last Juma, we had this same conversation, and I agree with everything he's saying. The only thing I would add to that, and you kind of said it, that we can't just do one thing at a time. None of us do one thing at a time. We do a whole lot of things at a time. And so all of these things have to be done. But I would also just add to that, well, for most of us, like, we are the anomaly. We are like the exception to the rule. When you look at the average Black Muslim in this country, most of them, just like we say, most of them now are default Wahhabis. Well, along with that is a misunderstanding that I ain't Black, and I've withdrawn from the Black community. I'm not Black, I'm Muslim. And so there needs to be a whole education campaign. You know, we're doing our part, but a lot of people haven't even gotten past that yet. So if they don't want to acknowledge that they're Black and that they have a people that they belong to in this country, there's no way in the world you're going to get them to cooperate on anything like reparations or to form any type of cooperative or a political body or anything like that, because they have in their mind that that's sinful, and I'm not Black in the first place. I'm just Muslim. And so this is why all of these things have to be done at the same time. Some of us have woken up and become conscious, so we have to begin to put in the work, but we can't put down the pooling of our resources, like Imam Amin just mentioned, and the educating our people to proper Islam, which doesn't disconnect us from our people. And in the meanwhile, right, while we're waiting on reparations, we're not literally waiting, because we're doing what we got to do anyway. Who say they're going to give it to us, right? So in the end of the day, we can't sit idle and hope and pray and work and protest and rally and lobby and do all of these things, expecting that, okay, we're going to, when they give us the money, then we're going to build. We have to build as if we're not going to get it, even though we're lobbying and working for that. So again, I agree with everything Sheikh Yusuf said and what you said, but it's just, we have to do all of these things at the same time.
Sheikh Yusuf, let me ask you a quick question. I'm gonna read this to you. One of our sisters, she's a little older than me, so I can call her one of my elders. As my teacher said, if a person's one day older than you, they're your elder, and treat them as such. So Sister Selena, she is one of our elders, and she comes from the hood and the inner cities, and we've learned to make money because we were money makers. We understand that. So she said, people always say Black people don't have money. But according to Forbes magazine, Black people are the biggest consumers in America. We got money somewhere. What's your take on that?
I think that's an illusion. I don't think that's factual. Most of the money that we actually have, the boomers have money. Millennials don't have the money that boomers had. Boomers had jobs, boomers had homes, boomers had pension funds. So it's the boomers who have the money, and the problem with wealth is that we don't have wealth to give to our children and to our grandchildren and to help them do things like get in business and et cetera, et cetera. The money is at the top. You have athletes, you have entertainers, but if you look at it on a whole, Black people have about $7 trillion. White people have $125 trillion. So that's a tremendous gap. So in terms of trying to be competitive, and even if you look at Black business, from a comparative point of view, most Black businesses are mom and pop, so compared to, surely we can't get anywhere near, some of the larger businesses and some of the larger corporations, in the country. Yes, there are some Black people who are the exception. You have the rule. Yeah, there's maybe 10 or 12 Black billionaires, but there's compared to white billionaires, or to even billionaires of other, complexions, and nationalities. So, like from a whole, not talking about individuals, but just talking about whole. If we be serious and analyze our situation from a realistic point of view, using data, and not necessarily. I mean, there's no way that we could be the biggest consumers in the country, because consumption is one of the biggest problems that Americans have generally. The whole economy is built on consumption to fuel the capitalist system. Let's take a black example. We created Kwanzaa, for example. They've taken over Kwanzaa, and Kwanzaa is $1 billion industry. Look at hip hop. Hip hop is is a big industry. But it's dominated. They've taken our culture and they've actually capitalized on our culture. So I'm saying that yes, on some level we do have some monies, and our behavior around our money is inappropriate. We don't support each other, which would call for a sacrifice, because black businesses don't always have the experience, and they don't always deliver the service comparable to what some other people can deliver. So that means that we'd have to sacrifice, and sometimes pay more and sometimes get less, in order to make this thing like work. Finally, let me say this, is that this is a long range program. It's a movement. It's not something that we can accomplish overnight. It's a movement that's been going on for at least 150 years. Reparations is not new. It's not new. It's not a new request for our people. And there are people who are getting, getting, not necessarily, it's not called reparations, but they're getting a lot of money from the government. For example, in the stimulus bill, the American Indian, the first stimulus bill, American Indians got $30 billion. In this infrastructure bill, they got billions of dollars. There's a thing going around now in the Democratic Party where they're talking about giving $450,000 per person to those people who were separated at the border. So it's that our people basically don't want to confront the issue and deal with the hard work, but we're fighting for the wrong things. We're fighting for crumbs off of the table, when really we should. Malcolm had it. When Malcolm was around, Malcolm wanted to take them to court for the crimes. If that had happened and they went to court, they would surely be convicted and they would have to pay penalties. It's just that at this point, our people haven't come around, and our people don't believe that they're actually owed, or that there should actually be some repair, knowing the history of plunder that was perpetrated by the government.
Sheikh Yusuf. Sheikh Yusuf. Assalamu
yes.
alaikum. Can I pose a question?
Yes.
Being that that's the situation, what do we do in the meantime? And in addition to that question, I would like to say this. My observation is that over the years, as Black people have done better, it seems like we lose our children more to the society and the enjoyments of the society, because now we can afford to indulge our kids, so forth and so on. So I think that in itself is going to be an ongoing thing. We can't say that we are in the same position that our grandparents were. I remember my dad telling me when I was young, he wanted me and my brother to do better than he did in life. So, it seems like and this isn't across the board. There are some people who seem to be stuck in a certain cycle, but across the board, generationally speaking, we're doing better and better and better. I don't know the situation in Pittsburgh, but if you come to Atlanta and you see these subdivisions and how people are living, middle class, upper middle class, lower middle class, but living in these nice subdivisions and everything, it's another look. It's a totally different look. And the thing is, for me, how do you get the people to buy into that? Because you talked about the selfishness, so forth and so on, the self-interest. But the other thing is, like I was saying, the better we do across the board, it seems like we're losing our children because we can afford to indulge them. There was a time our parents couldn't indulge, their kids the way we can indulge. A lot of us can indulge our kids now, so that's an issue in itself. But the main thing is, being the situation is what it is. What do we do in the meanwhile?
We mount a movement. Because if we look at our history, and if you look at even other people, but if you look at our history, what changed this country was the movement. The civil rights movement, the Black Power movement, even the movement around Black nationalism. Which a lot of us, myself as a Muslim, I came to Islam through Black nationalism.
Same with me.
Yeah.
Same with me.
So when you examine the situation, or let me go another way. My generation came in after the movement came in through affirmative action. Affirmative action was a targeted program, to actually elevate, Black people. So those people who had, matter of fact, college education and college degrees, and some of those people who actually got into the union, they were able to, negotiate the system, and they're now pretty much in their 70s. They're people that's 70s and 70 plus. What's happening today for our children don't have a targeted program,
Exactly.
because we haven't launched the movement. There has to be a movement with an agenda that's targeted for Black people, to
But Sheikh Yusuf,
yes, sir.
can I interject something? Just food for thought.
Yes.
Those issues for people your age, my age, because I'm 65, those issues are not pertinent to the younger generation today because we've improved so much on those issues. We haven't eradicated those issues, but we've improved so much on them. So for our young people, my issues, your issues, people our age coming up, seeing Dr. King, seeing the Kennedy brothers get shot, going through the whole civil rights era, like you mentioned, all that stuff. It's history to them, but we have it where it's not their issue. We can indulge them now. You know what I mean? To a certain extent, we may not be on par across the board with other people, but we're doing a lot better. So if you talk to a lot of the young people now, they may take an interest in what you're saying about history and having a target to aim at, but that's not their issue because their lives are so much more comfortably. You know what I mean? Our parents were able to make life a little bit more comfortable for us, the best they could. And moving forward, we are able to make life a little bit more better than our kids, which means every generation has its own set of challenges. And for some people, not enough of our people, but for a lot of our people, these children, their children, those issues are not their issues for them anymore. It's not their issues.
Brother Nadir, Sidi, let me bring in one of our youth. She is one of the co-hosts of a show that our elders, Sister Fatima, initiated called the 3453 Show. which is dedicated to our Muslim youth to express their issues. So we have on now our young sister Khadija Abdullah, which is Imam Naeem Abdullah's daughter, who is
Okay,
a
Imam.
there. Yes.
Imam, can I interrupt you real quick? I want to go back to something. The the link for the email was info@mmmac.org.
info@mmmacinc.org.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Hold up. info@mmmacinc.org. I just put it in the box.
Okay,
so
got it.
Sister Khadija, let me hear your comments to what you've been listening to. Remember, these are our elders, so be on your best behavior. Go ahead. Go ahead, Khadija.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
When I learn about all the things Black people have built in the past, we love to talk about Black Wall Street and everything. I also see that, and I think about the comments people say, hey, that saying the Black people are the biggest consumers is a lie. We make less money. But the thing is that it's not even about making more money when you build. It's about sweat equity. If you can't put in your money, put in your work. And that's what we have done in the past. All those Black Wall Streets we talk about, like, that's what really built everything. Nobody was really rich until those things were built. So and also I don't want to be dishonest and say that, oh, because we make less we can't spend more, when that's wrong. That's why we that's why people be broke most of the time, including myself. No, because we make our money no matter how little it is, and we spend it. Like, we spend most of it, and we complain when we see people asking, hey, can you support our cause and everything? Oh, I don't got the money for this. But you had the money for Little Debbie's, you had the money for Netflix, you had the money then when it came to something you wanted but never needed, so I like to point that out, that point.
All right, let me ask you something, Sister Khadija. Okay, Imam Faheem.
We as a collective, we got enough money to pay our own self-reparations. Just a matter, look at these numbers for a second. You know how much the average person spends on Black Friday? Last year it was down about $70. It was usually like $380. Last year it was $311, and that was because of the pandemic. It's approximately 44 million Black people in this country, right? 10% of that is 4.4 million. If we took a year and just rounded off $300, right? In a year's time, we put in a pot, that's $1.3 billion. If we just did just a million people, we did a million man march, a million woman march, million gay march, all that stuff. If we just did $300 out of a million people, that's $300 million.
Yes, but it won't diminish the wealth gap.
Yes, but we talking about long term. We talking about building something. In the meantime, we can empower each other. We can do something with $300 million.
See, but if you look at the transfer of wealth,
you know why we won't do it? Because as soon as we put a plan like that, somebody's going to doubt it.
Well, let me say this, Imam Faheem. I don't doubt what you say, and that is, on one level, that is something that we must do, because we've been spending our money inappropriately, and we have not been using our money to support our cause. But that is not going to solve the problem, because it's not so much about income. Because a lot of people are focusing on income, and you got to understand. Excuse me for saying that way. But we have to understand that income is not wealth. Okay, that wealth is that which you are able to transmit, to your progeny. you know, to wealth is those kind of things that will help your kid get into college. Wealth is the kind of thing that could help your kid start a business. You know, it's that if you look at most of the wealth in the country, and most of the wealth is at the very top. You know,
what I'm saying, we talking about some alternative to that. We can build our very own treasury.
We can, but it's not going to. For example, let's give
we ain't gonna do it.
Well, no, let's give another situation. Not to say that we shouldn't do it, but let's say that we
ain't gonna do it.
No, but let's say it like this. That's not ultimately going to change our situation.
From a year to this very day, a year from now, we can raise $300 million with a concentrated effort in the treasury. You mean to tell me we can't do nothing with that?
No, let me do it like this.
Hey, listen, I want y'all to try to, Sheikh, and we're going to have this more than once. So, Sheikh, I want you to try to summarize your final comments because there's other people that want to come in. So I want to switch out and let everybody get a chance.
Okay, so to deal with the approach that Faheem is talking about, it's like historically we have had black banks. And there are still some black banks. But if you take Faheem, if we take the figures that you use and we compare that to, and not to say that we shouldn't have black banks. I'm not saying that, or not to speak against your idea, but just to say, like, ultimately what it means is that historically we have had black banks, and when you put all the black banks together, you know, it doesn't compare to, you know, a medium-sized bank in the nation, you know. So here's what my last comment. I'm saying that that we should spend our money more appropriately. We should begin to try to, you know, support ourselves and focus on some economic development, not economic service. Or not service, but what we have to focus on is we have to focus on economic development for all of our people, not just the people at the top, because some of our people are doing better than others. But if you look at if you take us collectively, we're cast at the bottom, you know, and our economic situation is in trouble.
All right, inshallah, I'm going to take y'all out.
Brother Yusuf, shukran, brother. Thank y'all for thank you for your time.
Are you finished?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna take y'all out so I can make room for others.
Okay, shukran.
Barakallahu bikum.
Shukran, Sheikh Yusuf, for watching in real time.
You can always get in the comments though.
Okay.
Shukran, brother.
Barakallahu bikum. Brother Abu Rafiq, go ahead, Sayyidi.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I just wanted to tune in and like get my view, like what we see in a lot of different communities, because you know I study a lot of like real estate and real estate investment and wholesale, is that a lot of people don't know how to spend money and don't know how money works. So even if the community was to develop or was to gain 100,000, 200,000, even $1 million, if they don't know how money work and how to spend money, it'd just be a waste. A lot of communities, because even if something, hypothetically speaking, something was to develop and people were able to save up a bunch of money, this is nothing new. This has happened billions and billions of times. Just people don't know how to spend money, so they waste their money on stuff that's not really good for the community, or it may be good for the community at the time. But a lot of these other races, you got Jewtown, you got Chinatown, you got so many of these different people because they taught their children how money works and how to use money and how to invest in real estate. A lot of the new billionaires that have been billionaires for like or have became billionaires in the 2000s have became billionaires through either music, opening up a company or a brand or the real estate industry.
Okay. All right. And inshallah, this is one of the things that this type of dialogue will stimulate, because among us we have great minds, and sometimes we just don't connect them, right? And we need to have these conversations, and everybody can't do everything. So we need all of us to give our input to our collective empowerment, you know? So we appreciate that, brother Abu Rafiq. Quickly, Khadija, do you have anything else?
Yes, I also
Yeah.
want to add that we have to change what we accept from ourselves and from other people instead of looking down on ourselves, because that's essentially what we're doing when we say, oh, but we can't do this, oh, but we can't do that, we don't have enough this, we don't have enough that. We're looking down on ourselves and saying, oh, we can't build, there's no use in doing that because we don't have what they have. But we never needed what they had to build what we need in the first place. So I believe we need to change what we accept from ourselves and from other people to really make a difference.
Let me ask you, and you're what, 19 years old? 20?
20.
20. Okay. Right. At 20 years old, if I put to the best of your ability, I'm not asking for perfection and I'm not asking for completeness. At 20 years old, we give you the keys to the car. What would you like to see in the briefest way you can summarize in 2 minutes? Here, I'm giving you the keys. Go for it. What would you like to see?
What I would like to see. God. I've never heard.
They don't let you drive. You should move to the city of Masjid, Muhammad. Go ahead. No, seriously, you got the keys. You're the leader of Masjid Mu'min, Quba School, and Masjid Muhammad, and
Okay.
you're allowed to institute whatever you want. What would it be?
Okay.
Quickly.
Okay, first of all, I will utilize our youth, even the youngest ones we think can't do much, and we, inshallah, I will put together some kind of youth club, and then the older youth will be running it, but also I will get the younger youth to go out there and start. Well, I guess the proper term would be peddling, but yeah, go out there and raise money for our causes, right? But us, like the older folk, what they can do is put together a plan from their perspective, and we, the youth, put together a plan from our perspective, bring it all together and try to fit, the pieces where they could fit and build in that sense, like we need distribute our people. And when it comes to wealth, as we talk about wealth, distribute our people into real estate, distribute our people into peddling, distribute our people into like bigger industries like oil or something, right? Just and networking, that's a whole that's like a whole job in itself, networking. So I will utilize our people to the fullest extent in that sense. Of course, that will have to depend on the people's willingness to actually build and to put in that work, because networking is mostly about the people. It's about people you meet and build relationships from. And that with networking alone, we can get a lot done because we get to break into different industries that we couldn't see before us. So that's what I would do. That would be my plan, is to distribute our people into different industries, wealth-wise. But then we have knowledge. We have our people who have gone to different countries to learn, and we have people that learn from those people that have gone to different countries. And I would utilize them in a sense like, okay, we have our people on this end making money. We need to put some money into this education here so that the people that is that knowledgeable don't have to focus on anything else but teaching, but implementing that knowledge in our communities. So I will also think in that sense as well.
Okay, excellent. All right, I'm going to hire you, and we're going to start you putting in your ideas together, right? Because it can't just be talk.
That sounds like a good strategy.
Yes.
Please,
Yes.
Khadija, plug your show quickly.
Okay,
where's the link? Where's the time? Let's go. Let's go.
Okay, I will get the links, but if you go on YouTube and Facebook, you can type in 3453 show, and there you will find our videos. And every Sunday we go live with my co-host, Sister Sadia, Sister Layla, Brother Tahir and Talib, and it is a show for youth by youth on different matters that concern us. Alhamdulillah. I will post the links, inshallah.
What time on Sunday?
4 p.m.
Okay.
Sometimes a little later than that, depending on any problems.
4 p.m. Eastern, right?
Eastern time.
Okay, I'm going to take you out the queue, and thank you for your participation. It was beautiful having you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Wa alaikum salam.
All right, we have our brother,
Walaikum salam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
bottom feeder. You're crazy, you know that, right?
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
But if you don't mind, brother bottom feeder, if I can say something about you before you talk, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, please.
This is the 3453 show, right?
No problem.
You done came and took over the show. I can't even talk after you, right? Great job. I'm really proud of you. May Allah reward you and make you successful in your endeavors. But this brother, bottom feeder, that's not his real name. It's just that's him. So he wanted to be incognito, so we'll leave him as bottom feeder. Bottom feeder. He was a man, as crazy as he is, I love him with all my heart, because he actually did what we're talking about doing. And it was a crazy sacrifice that he made. And we are living, all of us, the benefits and the fruits of his initial sacrifice. Masjid Muhammad has benefited greatly from the sacrifice of him. And it was a brave sacrifice. He gave me his children, young boys, and said, they're yours, do whatever you want with them. And they became learned teachers. He seasoned them, he trained them, they all memorized the Quran, and he gave them to me. And they have been producing fruit after fruit after fruit to this day. So he's a man who really, really I respect a lot, I love a lot. And he took his lumps in life and he kept going. And I respect that. But he has a lot to offer. So I'm gonna let you go ahead, bottom feeder, and kick it. Don't hold back. This is the Black Imams Roundtable. You have like a 3-minute pass to be black. Right now, they sound good.
No problem. Can you hear me? Is my voice clear?
Yeah, go ahead. Feel free. Don't hold back. Talk.
All right. So, I don't want to really talk about the economics. That's a whole different thing. What's important to me is Muslim youth and Muslim families. The Arabs have a saying. They say, Dir barak al-nafsak, take care of your soul. Dir barak al-ahlak wa jaranak, which could be, we could also say the community. To me, that's my motto. That's what's important. I'm just going to say this real fast because I know there's a time restraint here. No,
you got a couple of minutes. I want to hear from you.
I'm not a big fan of the United States. I'm not going to try to turn it into this. So, you know what they say, hurry up and wait. Don't expect anything. I don't want anything from them. I'm not interested. Let me show you something. This is what I need. This is milk. This is olive oil. These are sardines. And these are kippered salmon, right? I got some water and I got some bread. I'm good to go. I'm a refugee to the black community. I am a refugee to the ghetto, and I'm happy like that. And I think the less that we have, the better we are. That's my personal opinion. Yes, we need wealth and we need to finance institutes. That's not the concern. The concern is the youth. Everything that you're doing is fantastic. I'm in my heart and in my everything. I'm your biggest fan. And by the way, all that stuff you said about me, that's my wife. She deserves all the credit for that, not me.
Okay, Abdurrahman. I knew bottom feeder wasn't working the real
Yeah,
estate,
no.
but he said it.
I'm riding
May
on her.
Allah reward y'all all.
Anyway, it's important, you know, if you look in life, and we can learn from the non-Muslims as well. Look at the Hasidic Jews in Williamsburg. I spoke to you about this today.
Right.
When they first came over from Hungary, that one community, their rabbi saw that this community is being, you know, with all the women and all the things and whatever's going on in the city, he built a place outside in Orange County in Monroe, and it's huge today and blooming. Their own institutions, their own everything. What you were saying before, for Detroit, for example, Detroit is a black city. Everything that you say every day in every one of your classes, black people, not Muslim black people in Detroit, that's what they love. This place is wide open for that. I mean, if somebody were to open something like that in Detroit, it wouldn't be full of Daisies and everything else because they're not here. It's black, and they would accept this. You could build an institution, even if it starts small. You need something. If you want to keep your communities going and have a khutbah, you have a khutbah where you're at, but they need a school that they can go to with trustworthy people that have been vetted, so they don't have to go through these horror stories that we just heard before, unfortunately, and that's everywhere. So I really think the main thing is that you have to build in a place that's affordable. Detroit, for example, is black. You could buy a 3-bedroom home here in a black community for $28,500. You can get it for $1,000 if you buy it from the land bank, but you got to fix it up within a certain timetable. This is and I just can tell you about Detroit, and this is Motown. I mean, this is where it's at. There's an opportunity to build the community. I think that should be the focus more than anything right now. It's the youth. The kids must be in Islamic schools, not in public schools, because, you know, all these things that you're feeding the kids and that we're learning, when they're up against Pornhub, or they're up against their friend with the phone, or if they're up against whatever else is going on there, kids that are part-time Muslims, it's going to evaporate, unfortunately. It's very hard for a kid to have a moral compass that's going to work right. I think it's important, and I know that you're doing great work. I think that you should build a community. There's schools that are wide open here. You can buy a school, fully functional, gymnasium, everything, probably $50,000 to $100,000. And I'm embarrassed here because I don't have a place that I feel comfortable. What don't I feel comfortable? Because the Islam, which is traditional Islam here, always has some baggage with it. Now, I'm not black, right? But I live in an all-black town. And I don't feel comfortable going into a masjid where people wear a picture of their sheikh on a necklace. And I don't feel comfortable going to a place where people think they're from Yemen. I want to go to a place that can keep it real, like Harold Melvin would say in the Blue Notes, be for real. I mean, that's what it's all about. Just be for real, man. Stop it. You know, I want to be in a place where I know that the guy knows what's fard and what's sunnah from his salat, that his aqidah is sound. There's no questions and everything's good and everything's Gucci. And all those principles that you talk about, whether it's a mukhtasar of Ihya Ulumuddin or Minhaj al-Abidin or Imam Haddad and all these things, that comes too. But walk before you run, and it has to be instituted on the ground. There must be a place for this community. And when I say this community, I mean the inner city community. There must be a place for our kids to grow up, for our grandkids to grow up, and to keep it going. I have a lot more to say. I'm a guest here on this show. I thank you for your time and your platform. I love what you do. And barakallahu feekum.
Let me ask you a question.
Hey, Yusuf, you are our brother, man. You are Shelly to the temptation. What's it to you, Shelly? You ain't out there.
Shelly. I want to ask you a serious question.
Yeah.
Because still to this day, with you, what made you leave your children? And at that time, it was a black community with a black imam that you didn't know from a can of paint.
Well, first of all,
what made you do that? I want to Like, you here, take my children.
First
What
of all, when I came to you, we're from the same city, you know. So
Right.
I pulled up once, you know, I was a Wahhabi. You know, that's what I
You
was.
what? Say
I
it
was
again?
Wahhabi. I was a follower of Ibn Taymiyyah.
Well,
and
one more time. I ain't hear that.
I said I was a Wahhabi.
He
I'm
heard
just
you.
messing
You
with you.
understand? Yeah. Yeah, my name's Yusuf, and I'm a Wahhabi. Yeah, and hello, Yusuf.
Hello, Yusuf. Thanks for sharing.
Hi, Yusuf.
I've been clear of
Keep
that
coming
now.
back.
That's it. We love you, Yusuf. Anyway, I remember I couldn't find a parking spot, or I was late or something, and everybody's telling me not to go to Masjid Muhammad. You know, I used to go to another masjid there, and I just pulled up there, and I heard the khutbah Imam Amin gave, and I was like, wow, this is mashallah. I really liked it. And at the end of the khutbah, I walked over to you and I said, listen, Imam Amin, can I speak to you for a second? And I was a what's the word? Enlightened, or I don't know the word they use now. I was revolutionary at the time. So,
Revolutionary.
yeah. So I didn't want to scare him because I know my name has stigma, with whatever it has, you know, it has baggage with it. So I said, I was a flamboyant Wahhabi, if that's the word, right? Flaming Wahhabi. So I wanted to speak to him. I had just left the Wahhabi community, if it's at the political, but I still really was, because, you know, I thought being like a Qaradawi guy was leaving Wahhabism, but it's not.
Right.
And we sat and we spoke, and you were the first person to really school me and explain to me what that means. And when I tell them I'm a Hanbali, it's like, oh, okay, so tell me about, so like, what books of the Hanbali madhab do you I told him Fiqh Sira of Sayyid Sabiq. He says, wow, that's probably the worst book you could possibly, look at, right? But I was really impressed, and he asked questions and he put it in a way, and I said, wow, this is really something fantastic. So I started to go there, and then I started to understand the basics of what Sunni Islam is after being misguided all that time. And I had to start over, from step one, to understand Allah, what befits Allah, what doesn't befit Allah, benefit Allah, not benefit, befit, excuse me. And alhamdulillah, that's where it came from. And to me, this is the most important thing. Once you can clear Allah of a location and understand the importance of understanding a methodology of one of the four remaining madhahib, I think this is key. It's that simple. And then after that, and during that too, we should be working on our hearts, but that shouldn't be the emphasis at this point. That should be the goal, inshallah. First, we got to get it straight. So, I know the city. I'm a street kid. I was never, even though I grew up on the streets, I didn't get arrested until I was 43, and that was the terrorism charge. So I'm still not a criminal guy. So I'm very comfortable with my kids on the street, on the street, as they would say, or in the hood. I have no problem with that, because I understand good people when I see them, no matter where they're from. To me, people that have wealth are the ones that I'm weary of, how they got it, if they knew all the laws of getting that. So poor people, I believe that Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, I believe that they're much more perceptive. And I'm not saying black people are poor, but we met in the inner city. You understand? You're from Pitney Village. You lived on Indiana Avenue. These are poor sections. They're not rich. All right. We could talk about Black Wall Street and all that stuff too another time, but that's not my battle. I feel perfectly comfortable with that. And since I don't agree with the whole American system, and it's not a statement, it's just a fact. It's just I don't agree with it. This is what I agree with. Where I live, these people I live with, it's like prison. Where you sit, that's who you're with. That's who your heart's with. Doesn't make a difference where do you sit? That's where you're with. I sit in the ghetto now, and I sit not just in the ghetto. I sit with good black people, not all black people. I sit with the good ones, and my community here is all black around me, and I will always feel comfortable with the best among them. And that's how I got to you, and that's how I feel comfortable with you raising my kids in their spiritual journey.
And I just want to thank you for that sacrifice, because I am reaping the benefit of all that sacrifice. So may Allah reward you and your wife.
Amin.
We are, grateful for your sacrifices because they are examples of what we can accomplish when we work together. May Allah reward you. All right, Sayyidi, and I thank you for coming on.
Hey,
Thank you.
You made Imam Amin lazy during Juma. He don't stay
Yeah,
up right
man,
now.
I can just sit back, Don Qatar.
Yeah, during the Juma Kuppah, he be fully reclined with his legs resting on the ottoman while Juma Kuppah's going on.
Yes. Okay. Imams, honorable Imams, barakallahu feekum, shukran jazeelan, and I thank you again for this.
Isa has come out of the shadows.
How do I get off this thing?
I'll take you out.
Okay.
The microphone is yours, Isa. Go for it.
Well, what do we have here?
Look at here.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I just hopped on here, since Imam Faheem, called me out, I wanted to respond to it, show my face for a second.
Alhamdulillah, what a beautiful sight, brother.
Alhamdulillah. So, I will have to, share that it's a beautiful thing that we have going, that's been going on for over a year, and we should be thankful for it. And everybody, everybody, like I say, everybody do, one person do a little, everybody doesn't have to do a lot, so everybody, keep doing their part, and we use this as a platform to build and, and be that family, be a family to each other, not just, brothers and sisters, but be like a family, that actually supports each other and actually grows with each other, and hopefully we have more stuff in the works, like the summer was great, with the picnic and everything, and we was able to meet and not just be people behind the screen, to actually meet and and feel each other's energy and build and stuff, and make connections, and that's just a start, so I don't want to pass up that opportunity for us to be grateful for what we have, and stuff comes in stages, I was reading I had finished reading Imams of the Valley, and I just like wow, it spoke to me the most as far as the dawah aspect, like dang, like how could we translate that to our localities, what they did, because it's their dawah, what they did, and of course it involved them spending freely of their wealth, as you hear Imam Amin talked about how about scholars say that the spending of somebody's wealth is even more than the sacrificing of their body, because people hold on to their wealth, and you saw how generous they were on a daily basis, with some of those imams from the Sada Alawi, from family of Prophet Sallallahu, descendants of Ahmed bin Isa al-Muhajir, how were they able to take care of people daily. There was a daily routine to spend. Think about the time involved. Not just the wealth alone, that time involved. Where people think they could be doing other things with their time and engaging in other things, but they made it a habit. Some of them made it a habit. Regardless of their age, to be present and be the one handing out this this food or this money to the people, on a daily basis, without complaint, So it was just an amazing thing. But just just to think about how we can do that, because we know what's needed. We know the dawah is needed stronger amongst us. We know how the more we learn, the more we see how bad it is as far as how we have been duped and given a wrong understanding and have been given this default Wahhabi creed upon us, and how it just has decimated us, So we know the dawah is needed badly. It's just like, wow, just something to see for myself, to try to be motivated and think like, okay, what can I do? How can I translate that? How can we translate that into our environments, where the dawah is needed? And a big part of that dawah is taking care of the people's needs, So that's all I wanted to share, just wanted to get up here, and appreciate everyone, amongst the family, that that's here, you know, and that's usually here for those that's not here, you know, and may Allah reward everyone involved. May Allah reward our imams and their families, you know, the families are a big part of the success of the imams are their families, you know what I mean, and also the supporters of their masjids and all of us, you know. So may Allah reward everybody involved with this platform.
Amin.
Amin.
Not so fast, Issa. That all sound great. Now let's get to the nitty gritty about this thing. How did you think we did on a Dope Muslim Woman podcast?
Ooh,
Give me your reflections, my brother.
Oh, I think you know it was great, and the thing about it was Imam Faheem and Imam Naeem, you know, they was mixing it up, you know, they was able to get the people was, you know, for them, but it was like sort of like booing you off stage, you know what I mean? Like there was some sisters in there, they was like really triggered, you know, but you hung in there, you know what I mean? They were just booing you off the stage. They weren't booing them off the stage, you know. So
why was they booing me off the stage? What I do wrong?
Because you were talking about
nobody came to see you, Otis.
Yeah, because you try to take over Imam Faheem's platform. They ain't like that. There can only be one Imam of the Dope Women's
He says
podcast.
Imam Faheem is the Imam of the Dope Muslim Women's podcast.
There can only be one, you know.
So what was your thoughts about the conversation? Because this is something this is dear to you.
I mean, what
was your thoughts?
I mean, that's your
reflections.
Yeah, my thoughts was I was really surprised that you said what you said, because most of the times you going upside our head, you know, all the time, the brothers' heads all the time, you know. I try to listen to the 3 treatises to go back to the 3 was it 3? Yeah, I'll try to go back to that, what you did in the post-Fajr reflections, and it was like I couldn't even listen. It was like it seemed like every episode I was listening to, you was hard on the brothers. Like, man, he ain't even getting to the text. He's talking about the brothers and y'all chumps and this, that. So to see you, you know, holding sisters accountable, and it was like, you know, it was nothing wrong with what you were saying. You were talking about how, you know, sisters. You gave the example about the brother coming to her house, you know, and it leads to, you know, basically zina, you know, and it being something that she can't just blame on him. Like, you know, you invited him over to the house, and that was like the really start of, you mean, whoa, and it was like sisters were so triggered, you mean, that they couldn't get to your point, couldn't see your point, you know what I mean?
Issa, are you saying that women have a problem being told that they're accountable for their actions?
Some of them.
Is that what you're saying, Issa?
Yeah, some of them. Some, you know. I'm not gonna say women.
Some, not all.
Not all, you know. Many women are accountable, you know.
Are you saying that on that platform there are a lot of women that don't like to be told that they're accountable for their own actions?
I don't know if it's a lot. I know it was some that were triggered by that response to the Imam, you know. And I don't know, something from their own personal lives or something. But it's another thing is like it's those women that I saw, I don't know if they ever been a part of this platform or had any relationship with Imam Amin as far as listening to anything that he has done, in whether it's post-Fajr or anything like that. So when you have that unfamiliarity with somebody, it's, you know, you're quicker to judge somebody, you know. So I didn't see anybody, you know, that was a part of our family having any problem with what he said, you know. So that's one of the things you deal with when you come into an audience that's new, that might not be familiar with what you're saying, you know. They might not be ready to take in, which is those hard points, some hard points, you know what I mean? You know, but it's online too, you know, it's less personable. You got somebody that you're not used to hearing, you know, and they're telling you about these issues that might be triggering because of something in your personal background and life that you haven't fully dealt with, fully processed, fully healed from. You know, you didn't expect to hear that. So I don't think they had any bad intentions, you know what I mean? They just were triggered and they weren't ready for it. But it was nothing that the Imam said that was wrong. I actually was like really beneficial. You mean, it was really good to hear that, to have that balance, because we all need to be more accountable, you know, and there's a process to it, you know what I mean? That's why I like the sister Sabria, her follow-up, you know, talking about, you know, there's accountability, but it's a process to getting people accountable. It's stages of even advising people to be accountable. It's stages to get there, you know what I mean? Anybody that has a good therapist knows that it's stages to get somebody to be accountable, because accountability is not just saying I did this or I did this. Accountability is actions and getting them correct. You mean to have a certain standard of actions, you mean a certain correct standard of actions, certain behaviors that need to be improved and done away with and all that, you know.
What is your thoughts of that show? I really like it. I think it's the Dope Muslim Woman podcast with our sister Sabria Mills. I think it's very healthy for our sisters to have a platform where their issues are aired and they feel that free space. And I felt that she does a good job with it. You know what I mean? What's your thoughts of that show? Because as you, is all this discussion working on your marriage Achilles heel?
I think I gained a lot more respect from her when I was listening to her response. You know how she does her responses after she does the broadcast, the day after. And to be honest, you know, I never really was able to, for whatever reason, to listen to her responses afterwards. You know, I catch the show, you know, depending on who the guests are on, especially if, you know, we got our imams on there and stuff, you know, I catch it. You know, so I don't always catch the show, but I did catch a response, and I gained some appreciation for her work, you know, because she really was on point as far as what she was saying in the response, you know, and you know, talking about the healing process and stuff like that and what's needed, and you know, and she just went in detail. So I advise whoever didn't listen to that response that she did to go back. If you listen to the show, go back and listen to that response that she did, you know, the next day. And she did it while she was like, you know, battling illness. She was like going through some things, but she pushed through and gave a real nice response to what she did. So I really gained appreciation for her work, and you know, so she's beneficial to sisters, like you said, having that space. But she also knows what she's doing. She knows what she's saying, you know, and you can see her commitment, you know. And
okay, we have Interior Minister, Minister of Interior, Islam Muhammad. Please feel free to take the mic.
Well, thank you. First of all, assalamu alaikum to everybody. And I want to piggyback off of Brother Issa when he says that over the last year and a half or so, we built a nice family, and I love everybody and supporting Imam Faheem, Imam Amin, and Imam Naeem, and Sheikh Walid, and Sheikh Baltimore on all of the programs, 3453 with Sister Fatima and Sister Khadija and Sister Samira, and now hopefully with Sister Sadia. So I think, you know, the love and support that we give to everybody with the sisters and brothers talking in the morning on FaceTime, good morning, it is a beautiful thing. And I think we are at the beginning stages of building something beautiful. So may Allah continue to guide us, correct our intentions, and give us success. I mean, with that being said, Isa, I think that the women for the Dope Muslim Women's podcast that day, may Allah continue to give Sister Sabria success also. I mean, I think a lot of them were reacting to the fact that when the Imam Amin was asked about accountability, he only focused on the accountability of the sisters and not including the accountability of the brothers.
Issa, you going to accept that?
Like,
man, you better get my back.
I think that just goes back to what I was saying as far as them not being familiar. You mean, because if they were familiar with Imam Amin, they would already know how hard he goes on his brothers. You know what I mean? How hard he gets after us. You know what I mean? So that's because those sisters were unfamiliar. You mean?
No, and I agree. He normally gets after you, but in that particular moment, the question was accountability for all. And I believe the Imam's answer primarily focused on accountability of the woman. And I think that's what the sisters were responding to. I mean, I could be wrong, I could be right, as Sheikh Samir Hafizahullah likes to say, and it's true. But if my recollection serves me correctly, even for myself, I found my husband's response a little lopsided.
Shameless plug. You went from Imam Amin to my husband. I ain't joking.
Ooh, Imam Amin, you gonna go for that? I see a coup d'etat coming from the interior
I
minister.
thought y'all was going to defend me. What's happening?
No, you got to put in work yourself first. We got your back.
But alhamdulillah, I think everything's going well. And inshallah, Sister Sabria, Sheikh Aisha Prime, and hopefully some more sisters will be at the Black Imams Roundtable in February, and we'll be able to expand the platform, knowledge base, and everything else, and gain more people. And maybe like Sister Khadija, she's on here and she's asking for help with the 3453 show, and maybe we can add more people and we can move from just having the discussion to actually put in more work in. Like you imams are doing great, like traveling, but actually putting programs in place in some of the places that you have been to already. So inshallah, Allah knows best. But that's all I have to add. Thank you.
I'm sorry. All right, and just as I mentioned, coming up in February, the 18th through the 20th, is the 4th African American Islamic Summit in Atlantic City. More information will be coming out soon, but you can just follow us on our daily programs, and in the morning, and with Imam Naeem and his program, and Imam Faheem, and all of the programs we have, and we'll keep you updated. But if you can mark that date, February the 18th and the 20th. The 21st is a holiday, so that will be our gathering in Atlantic City, and inshallah, so just mark your calendars. And so far, these are some of the speakers, the 3 imams, Imam Faheem and Imam Naeem, and myself, Imam Dawood Walid from Detroit, Sheikh Aisha Prime, Imam Siraj Wahad, Sheikh Abdul Karim Yahya from Darul Rahma, Sister Sabria Mills from the Dope Muslim Women's Podcast, Imam Sulaiman Hamid from Atlanta Masjid of Islam, and Sheikh Hamza Abdul Malik from Midtown Mosque in Memphis, and many others, inshallah. So look forward to that coming up, inshallah. Okay, we'll take that out for that plug. All
Okay.
right, we're over time. We got to start closing out.
What are we looking at with the goal, man? We hit our mark or what?
I don't know. I mean, where's the accountant? Accountant, could you please show us where we're at? It might be we got new pilots on board, so things might be a little different.
Okay, we still got some players in the field. We in the red zone. Let's go in this end zone. Let's score. Come on, you have a given. It's time to donate.
Let's put the link up.
Yeah, throw the link up.
All right,
and make sure throw the link up. Make sure we link up. All
right, we have 525, so we reached our goal.
Okay.
Now, do we want to,
Yeah, we want to push it to 6.
All right. Can we push it to, let's go to 7 today, inshallah. So we want to do another 175 and a last push. And we got this summit coming up, so we need more than that, and different things we want to do. We want to travel. We want to go visit some communities. So we got a lot of things we want to accomplish. So if we can go ahead, Imam Faheem and Imam Naeem, I'll let y'all do the fundraising. He said unless you're going to do some fundraising. Are you going to do some fundraising? All that sitting there just looking good, trying to catch a wife without doing no work ain't going to happen.
Nah, that's you got to do something, man. Stretch that smile out just a little bit more, man. It attract them.
Right. All right, go ahead, take over. Go ahead, Imam. Y'all got to come on.
Yeah, Imam Naeem, because I got to get ready to roll in a few. That's why I was asking.
All right, what y'all want from the store?
And support the platform as much as you can. Come on, bro. We got to raise some breads here. and support the platform as much as you can. You think they're gonna pay you for you saying it like that?
Alhamdulillah, 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 alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen. I got brain lock.
Now y'all know why black imams are broke. I got brain lock. I'm tired. I'm sleepy. I gotta go.
Allah Akbar. Alhamdulillah. We all want to. We've been talking about all evening. Many times we've been talking about what we're going to leave behind for our legacy, our children, our families. You know, several times tonight we mentioned, you know, we have to build for our children. Several times, more than once, because it's not only about us. And so I want to remind us of something we can do that can benefit us, all of us, even while we're in the grave, all of us. And it's the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he taught us, he said, إِذَا مَاتَ الْإِنسَانُ أَعْمَالُهُ إِلَّا مِنْ ثَلَاثَةٍ انْقَطَعَ أَعْمَالُهُ إِلَّا مِنْ ثَلَاثَةٍ. That when a person dies, all of his actions are cut off. Why are they cut off? Obviously, because he's dead. He can't do anything else to benefit himself. When each and every one of us die, all of our actions stop. So we have to become good investors. We have to be able to, you know, you have some people who they're like, what they used to say, King Midas, or I like to say Abdurrahman ibn Auf, who's one of the wealthy Sahaba, who no matter what they did, they always made money. They knew how to spot a good investment. And so we have to be like this as well. And one of the things that we can do to spot a good investment is to be able to put our money into something that will earn us a residual return. You know how they say ROI, a return on investment? So in other words, you want to put your money in a place that it will benefit you even after you stop giving, even if you have the ability, even if after you die and you can't give anymore. And so the first thing that the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said of these three actions that don't stop after you die is Sadaqah Jariyah, a charity that continues. So it's different than giving somebody some food or some money. He goes with the money, he buys it, he buys his food, he eats. That's the end of your charity. But you have to put your money in a place where after you continue, after you put your money in, that your money works for you. And so when you invest in this platform, when you invest in the Black Imams Roundtable, and people become guided, and people leave off associating partners with Allah, people begin to invest in their community, when people begin to organize and come back to the Masjid. There's many of you here, and you've said it more than one time, you didn't recognize the truth until you came to this platform. A lot of people were misguided till they came to this platform. And so you should invest in this platform so other people can be guided just like you were. And so continue to invest. And everybody that's guided or helped or benefit from you investing in us, you continue to get reward and continue to get blessed, even if you were to die today. So don't wait, you know, continue to give. Someone's asking, how can they give? They didn't see the link.
Hey, don't
And
worry.
just to finish out the hadith, the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he said the second.
Hold on one second. If you want to give, there is the link there, all the routes. Through Cash App, you can donate directly to mmacinc.org, or you can direct through Cash App, $ Masjid Muhammad AC, or Zelle donations at mmacinc.org. and just put Imam's Roundtable in the description so it goes to that account. If you don't put Imam's Roundtable, I'm assuming that you love me so much that you just want to help Masjid Muhammad. And I will accommodate your wish.
Alhamdulillah. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he also said the second thing that continues to benefit you after you die is ilmin yutafu bi, or knowledge that benefits, beneficial knowledge. And so this platform is also a means of transmitting and receiving beneficial knowledge. So again, your charity will, is comprehensive charity. You can, you're helping build the community, and you're helping the transmission of knowledge. So you get a reward in that, and that reward will keep on benefiting you after you die. And then he also said, "Awaladin solihin yad'ulu," or a righteous child that makes dua for you. And don't sleep on that. Don't sleep on that, because all of us are a mixture of bad deeds and good deeds. And these deeds are placed in the scale. And so when you donate, you may not be able to recognize it now, but you never know. That sadaqah that you're giving, and people get benefit, that sadaqah that you gave or that you're giving and that you will give, that may be the one thing that may make your good deeds outweigh your bad deeds. So we shouldn't be comfortable. We should be a balance or a mixture of khawf and raja, fear and hope. But our fear should be a little bit more than the hope. In other words, our fear of Allah's punishment should be like 51%, and our hope should be like 49%. So that's all I want to remind you of. Alhamdulillah, no one's getting rich. We're trying to do this work, and we need to support ourselves. I personally think we should be raising $1,000 every week.
Here is something that I want to announce too. The Black Imams Roundtable will be live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on November the 27th, 2021. So mark that date. It's Saturday, November the 27th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The location will be forthcoming. Probably next week we'll tell you the location. And we do owe a trip to Albany, New York, because Abdul Wali asked about that, and we must fulfill that. If that is still open, we need to go visit Albany, New York. So I see Abdul Wali Hassan there, and please make dua for his family. They were going through sicknesses and everything. Let us recite Al-Fatiha for healing for him and his family. Bisir Asar Al-Fatiha. And yeah, so we'll be giving the date as soon as the location as soon as we get it, but it is the 27th. We're still waiting for the exact location. We'll let you know as soon as next week. We'll let you know, inshallah. But we want to thank you all for your support. We did it. So you reached the goal. You set a new plateau, Imam Naeem. You are the official Imam Genius and fundraiser for the Black Imams Roundtable. And I think it has a lot to do with that beautiful face beneath us, the available bachelor.
That's what it is.
Muslim community.
That's what it is.
Pretty
that
boy,
face right there.
Isa. Imam Isa. I wouldn't say Imam Isa. That could go another way, bro. So I would just say Ustav Isa or something. Alhamdulillah, may Allah reward you all. We thank you, and we're going to let Sayyidi Isa close us out in dua. Whatever you like, English, Arabic. Wait a minute. No. Miss Joanne, we don't want to wait for Farouk. We love your son. We love your baby, but we're going to help you with this link, right? There you go, Miss Joanne. You don't need to wait for your son right now.
I'm still waiting for my shish kebab.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for your son too, so we're not going to rely on that. No, I'm joking. We love you, Miss Joanne. Thank you very much.
I still didn't get my shish kebabs from last year, our barbecue, our cookout.
He might tell us the donation is contingent upon when he put on his suit. Nah, we love y'all. MashaAllah. Okay, Isa, close us out, Habibi. It's on you.
Alhamdulillah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please allow us to build strong Al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah communities amongst each other, connected and supported, and bless this efforts of this roundtable. Bless all our future efforts going forth. Amin.
Amin. بسر أسرار الفاتحة. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.